What's up, guys? So Amber Heard looks like she has admitted defeat. Now, it has been released that she's giving up, that she's giving in, and that she is settling with Johnny Depp. And so let's take a look at the Instagram post that she made yesterday, one day ago. After a great deal of deliberation, I have made a very difficult decision to settle the defamation case brought against me by my ex-husband in Virginia. It's important for me to say that I never chose this. Never chose the lawsuit, never chose to write an article. I wonder what she means by this. I defend my truth, whatever that means. And in doing so, my life as I knew it was destroyed. The vilification I have faced on social media is an amplified version of the ways in which women are victimized when they come forward. Now I finally have an opportunity to emancipate myself from something I attempted to leave over 6 years ago, and on terms I can agree to. I have made no admission this is not an act of concession. There are no restrictions or gags with respect to my voice moving forward. So usually settlement agreements are confidential, which means none of the parties are going to know, no one besides the parties are going to know what the agreement was, how much the settlement was. We enter into settlements every week. Most of them contain confidentiality clauses. And in those clauses, it means you can only disclose the amount of the settlement, the restrictions on the settlement, to only certain people. One, lawyers usually. Two, usually accountants or CPAs or financial advisors, because obviously if you settle for some amount, a financial advisor, for example, is going to be like, so where did this money come from? And a CPA, you might have to disclose it to for tax purposes. Some settlements are taxable, some are not. So it's important to always consult a tax professional for that. I'm a lawyer, not a tax professional. So I know in personal injury law, most settlements are not taxable. But if they have to do with lost wages, then they're usually taxable, just the portion that has to do with lost wages. Punitive damages are also taxable. But besides the point, usually settlements are confidential, meaning no one can discuss or talk about it. Since this case was so publicized and had such high recognition among the nation, among the world, that's probably why she's making a statement like this, because my clients would never go on social media, or the defendants would never go on social media and say, this is not an act of concession, saying I'm not giving up, I'm not admitting defeat, I'm not admitting anything, but based on the economics of it, continuing to pay for lawyers, it's a business decision, and that's what we're doing right now, is making a business decision. I'm not admitting anything, and that's usually, there's clauses in settlement agreements that talk about there's no admissions, a fault, or anything like that, which is fine for my clients because they're like, I got paid, I don't really care. Now, sometimes my clients do care because they're like, I want to make a point, but I have to talk to those clients. But in this situation, since it was so publicized, this is probably why she's making a statement like this, saying this is not an act of concession, because whatever the outcome was, if there was no more appellate documents being filed, obviously people would be like, what's going on? They probably settled. Amber Heard accepted defeat, and so they're coming out and discussing it. So she says, this is not an act of concession. There are no restrictions or gags with respect to my voice moving forward. So let's take a look at the rest of it. I make this decision having lost faith in the American legal system, where my unprotected testimony served as entertainment and social media fodder. Honestly, I don't even know what fodder means. But when I stood before a judge in the UK, I was vindicated by a robust, impartial, and fair system, where I was protected from having to give the worst moments of my testimony in front of the world's media, and where the court found that I was subjected to domestic and sexual violence. So the UK judge found that there was domestic violence, and I guess they didn't put it as much in the public light, but in the US we have public courts and a public forum. So that's the country's right. Very few trials are sealed. Usually have to do with sometimes domestic violence. Not usually, though. Usually have to do with minors. and where the court found that I was in the U.S., however, I exhausted almost all my resources in advance of and during a trial in which I was subjected to a courtroom in which abundant direct evidence that corroborated my testimony was excluded. Okay, well, that's just the rules of evidence. And there's quite a bit of evidence. That was a long trial in which popularity and power mattered more than reason and due process. In the interim, I was exposed to a type of humiliation that I simply cannot relive. Even if my U.S. appeal is successful, the best outcome would be a retrial where a new jury would have to consider the evidence again. I simply cannot go through that for a third time. And that is a tough thing for a lot of victims or alleged victims to relive by testifying and being cross-examined, relive those situations again and again. And so right here, she's saying that it was a personal decision based on a personal business decision, really. She's saying that it's not worth my emotional state to relive everything again, retelling it again. And so that, I mean, can't fault her if she really is that broken and had such effect on her. Time is precious, and I want to spend my time productively and purposefully. And that's, again, like I was talking about, a business decision. And so she could be like, okay, I spent how many weeks in trial? I could have made 2 movies, 3, 4 movies during that time, prepping for trial and being in trial. I could have made $8 million. I mean, I don't know if she had those opportunities, but she could be saying, this cost me money, actually having to sit in trial. For too many years, I have been caged in an arduous and expensive legal process, which has shown itself unable to protect me and my right to free speech. So she's complaining about how unfair the American system is. Let me know in the comments if you think the American system is fair or what changes that you would propose, because apparently Amber Heard thinks there are a lot of issues in the American legal system. I cannot afford to risk an impossible bill, one that is not just financial, but also psychological, physical, and emotional. Women shouldn't have to face abuse or bankruptcy for speaking her truth, but unfortunately it is not uncommon. In settling this case, I am also choosing the freedom to dedicate my time to work that helped me heal after my divorce, work that exists in realms in which I feel seen, heard, and believed, and in which I know I can affect change. I will not be threatened, disheartened, or dissuaded by what happened from speaking the truth. No one can and no one will take that from me. My voice forever remains the most valuable asset I have. So she's saying that I was still right. I didn't lie about anything. I was abused, and now I want to help other people. And I'd like to thank my outstanding appellate and original trial teams for their relentless hard work. I want to thank everyone who had supported me, and I turn my attention to the growing support that I've felt and seen publicly in the months since trial and the efforts that have been made to show solidarity with my story. Any survivor knows that the ability to tell their story often feels like the only relief, and I cannot find enough words to tell you the hope your belief in me inspires, not just me, but for all of you. Thank you. See you soon. I don't know where we're going to see her, but I guess we'll find out. But let me know what you think about her 4-page note. Whoops, I did not mean to like that. Let me know what you think about her letter to everyone, talking about the settlement and how she feels about it. And let's look at some of these comments. Some people are I'm proud of you, Amber. Love you. What an incredibly strong force of a woman you are. Mighty heart. So it looks like she has a bunch of people who are supporting her. 202,000 people liked it. Let's see how many followers she has. 5.3 million followers. So interesting what she mentioned in that. Let me know what you think about it. And Johnny Depp came out. And here's a statement from Johnny Depp. We are pleased to formally close the door on this painful chapter for Mr. Depp, who made clear throughout this process that his priority was about bringing the truth to light. So it's really interesting. Mostly, in most trials, there's usually one victim or one individual who is saying they have been victimized. In this situation, both of them are saying that they were victimized. Obviously, the jury found really in favor of Johnny Depp. So the jury's unanimous decision, like he's saying, and the resulting judgment in Depp's favor against Ms. Heard remain fully in place. The payment of $1 million, which Mr. Depp is pledging and will actually donate, they think he wasn't going to, reinforces Ms. Heard's acknowledgement of the conclusion of the legal system's rigorous pursuit for justice. So Johnny Depp's team is saying this is justice. Justice has been served. The legal system has upheld justice. Let me know what you think if the legal system has upheld justice in this situation. So it looks like their payment of $1 million. Now, the original verdict was much higher than that. So depending on the issues that are on the appeal, it really depends on what the settlements are like. So, for example, we've had a settlement, let's just say for $1 million, or not settlement, a verdict for $1 million, and then it actually turns out being 1.5 million or 2 million down the road because of attorney's fees on appeals, the interest that it accrues during appeal. So sometimes there can be a settlement after. However, some situations it can be less. Like in this situation, it's much less than the original verdict, and that's just because maybe she would win on an appeal, then Johnny Depp would have to pay his lawyers even more to do the trial all over again. And so there are many factors that go into this, and obviously the amount was not confidential. So let me know what you guys think about this. Was justice served? Do you think Amber Heard is right that the legal system is broken? Or do you think Johnny Depp is right and his lawyers that justice has been served and the legal system is truly intact? Let me know, and we'll have to see what happens on Amber Heard's insurance cases. If you enjoyed this video, check out my most recent video right here.